Welcome, everybody. My name's Jeff St. Laurent, and as you can see, I have an awesome guest right beside me that I'm going to introduce in just a second. Before we bring him on, I do record all of my Tuesday live shows and I put them on my university on my website, sellingcoaching.com. I help coaches transition to a full-time business. I have a lot of great resources there. If I can say that myself, you could start right off on the homepage and enter your name and email address. You'll instantly get a great audio resource I have called Launching Your Coaching Business, the First 3 Vital Steps. And then I'll also put you in my email community, which I have a lot of great information that I share on a weekly basis. But with that being said, let me help you with an awesome resource as I introduce my awesome mentor coaching client, Didier Huber. Didier, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Hello, everybody, and thank you for having me.
I'm really happy to have you here. It is special. I mean, I like it when my clients get to come on. So Didier just wrapped up a 5-month group mentor coaching program I did with him and some others. And I wanted to have him on because, obviously share kind of the work that he's done along the way in the 5 months or so. But I feel like one of the biggest things that he was great at was he has a great warm market and an existing network. And he leveraged that very well right out of the gates. So talk about that and other pieces along the journey. But first, Didier, before we get jumping into all that stuff, I want to kind of share, for the people that are watching this, other coaches, right, who are at different stages of their business, talk to them about, where you were at your business when you, decided to join the 5-month group and kind of like what you were feeling like you needed the most help with. So I can get an idea of kind of where your business was about 5-6 months ago.
Well, yeah, thank you, Jeffrey. Well, about 5-6 months ago, I was transitioning from the corporate world, having had executive jobs at Procter & Gamble and Mars, and going into whatever is called here retirement, right? And I was looking at what is my next job, what is my second act, and talking with various people, I really ended up with deciding about coaching because I thought that's how I could give back to the community, what I got from the community while I was in my job, right? So I was looking at how could I become a certified coach, went through the IPEC program, and that's where I got to learn about your Quick Start program. That was really helpful. And but then, it really came out to the detail. I had no clients. I didn't know how to approach them. The devil is in the detail. I knew after IPEC how to coach. I had some idea as well, through your Quick Start program at IPEC, how to kind of market myself, but really had no clue. So I had no customers at that time.
Yeah. So you're starting off, like you've done a few things, but starting off, and it was really like, okay, I understand the coaching skill set and how to be a great coach, but now how do I get myself out there? How do I market myself and how do I get business, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's talk about kind of where we began in terms of some of the things that we started you off with to kind of get some of your base systems going, and talk about that a little bit so people can understand the work that you need to get done to start this mission off.
Well, sure. And I think the one comment I would like to make, Jeff, is that what I really appreciate in the service and the offering you have is that not only are you a coach, but you are, maybe I can call it a consultant as well, because like other coaches, they coach your inner beliefs and your blocks and all that, but you give advice. There is a menu there that really helps you to execute and put the marketing part in place. So, where I started, after the Quick Start program at IPEC, I joined your initial, I think, is it called the 7-day, the 7-day class you have, right?
You get the challenge.
14 day,
yeah.
Right? Sorry.
That's right.
Yeah. So your 14-day class, and that's where you really started to talk to us and teach us how important actually it is to have a presence out there, a continuous presence. And it's not just a one-off. I think, you have to be out there on an ongoing basis. People need to see you regularly. And I think that's how various things, you taught us how to make a presence on Facebook, but also a presence via email. So having, these programs like a Weber, I forgot the other chimp something, whatever. All these mailing programs where you reach out to the network and you send them on a regular basis, some interesting news about the world, about you, what your offerings are. And so I think that was really a big revelation to me.
Yeah. And so as we started getting going, because like you were busy with a lot of other things in your life as well. But let's talk about the marketing that you started to do and using your existing network. I think that's the biggest thing. Like you said, you worked, what was it, 25 years at Procter & Gamble?
Yeah. Yeah, and Mars a couple of years
yeah.
at Mars as well. Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing with you is you were like the master of change and transition because you worked in so many different departments. And we realized like you know so many different people from those many years. Talk about how you started to get your message out there and to start to land some of the business that you did.
So it was basically a two-prong approach. The first one is reaching out to my network via email. So really building an email list and going out there and making a presence, letting people know what I'm doing, how I can support them, what my offerings are, right? So that was one of them, and getting in front of them on a regular basis. The other one, I haven't used because of my target audience, because I'm really targeting, leaders, managers, and teams, to embrace change to improve their organizational productivity, and also to basically deliver breakthrough innovation. And so I decided actually to go on LinkedIn. I had a big network on LinkedIn. I had I think 1,500 followers there, and Facebook for me was probably not as much of a focus than probably LinkedIn should be with the kind of business I have. But the principle is similar. It's being out there, is doing postings, getting people to react, follow your network, and see what you're about, and you build credibility. And sometimes it's not just, it doesn't happen overnight. I think you have to be consistent, right? And one thing that I've noticed as well, out of the blue, I had a couple of leaders contacting me and saying, "Oh, so you're not doing that kind of stuff. So you're coaching now. You're also a consultant. You have the experience in that area. Would you mind, doing a part-time gig for us? And so I basically got 2 40-hour contracts out of that, based on all these principles that you taught us, Jeff.
Yeah, but that's the biggest thing is like, so you now, granted, you had some good connections, you had some more network, but in order to, for people to know what you were doing, you had to put yourself out there. And for people watching this, like it's not really rocket science, right? I'm not teaching any special hacks or secrets that people don't know. It's like, going back to what you said, Didier, right? It's getting yourself out there. It's starting to understand maybe what we can start to say, but the consistency of it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the consistency, but and it's kind of interesting as well. Unless somebody guides you there, the most simple things sometimes are not obvious to you. I didn't know how to approach LinkedIn. I was out there, posted some articles here and there and reacted to some people, but there is an art to it. There is an art about the content, is an art about how to present the content. And you took us through all that. You gave us all these little nuggets, these little details that really, in the end, make you successful or not.
No, thank you for that. And I agree. There's a lot. The broad concept for people, okay, I got to get out there, I've got to message people, I got to, but the smaller details of what do we say, how do we approach it, what are we looking for, how do we handle the conversation, like that. I understand there's a lot of those details in there, which is obviously with it, like you said, that the consultancy side, or I like to call it the mentoring side, whereas I like to help and guide through those pieces. But ultimately, it's got to come down to whether you do the work or not, which you started to do that work. Let's talk about this, because this is an interesting thing. And so you got out there, you started to message people, you followed up. We guided you through some of those things. Like you said, you landed those 40-hour contracts. Huge, great stuff, right? Getting paid, which is awesome. And then I was like, all right, so now you're busy and you've got business, but we've got to stay focused on keeping you, right, getting out there and marketing, because at some point these contracts, hopefully they get extended, but at some point they're going to be gone. And so what happens if we're not marketing all along that time? So we really started addressing your schedule and the things you need to be doing even while you get business. Talk about that dynamic and what you had to work through to continually focus on that.
No, I think it's very, very important actually in that whole work that you do with the media and online is to have consistency. You need to have that presence. I wouldn't say 7 days a week. I guess you can give yourself a rest, but I would say at least 5 days a week and be out there at the same time, and telling him, people almost expect you to say, oh, Didier is usually posting something or sending us something that, hey, where is it, right? So that's really where you want to go. And I know you're a master at that, with communication and being very consistent. The thing that you said that is important as well, and I think the newbies to the coaching business, what we tend to forget as well, is that, yes, you're right. You don't have, very often, most of the time, you don't have clients for life, right? They don't stick around. You might have them, I don't know, maybe you can have them for a year. I mean, that might, but probably on average, it's probably shorter than that. So you need to renew. And I think that the way what you taught us as well is not only how to, set up a pricing structure, but also looking at packages and how long you want to coach people. Where is the average and all that kind of stuff, which is part of the marketing tool as well. So, I think, again, it's very important to renew your clients. I think usually you taught us as well that about 12 clients is probably a good way to deal with, because you don't want just to coach. You need to be a business person as well and have time for your marketing efforts. And that's why it's so important, to be out there and to continue having a presence, on these channels, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever anybody picks, YouTube, I think it's critical.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to be able to, like you said, find that space to be able to do that. Yeah. As we start to pull this together a little bit, Didier, for you, what's been some of the biggest value for you with the program and kind of some of your biggest takeaways? Because I loved how you were always very supportive and participated so well with everyone. And you always had, nothing but great things to say. And so I'd love to just hear for you, what are some of the biggest takeaways as you kind of move off, from the group and start to do this on your own a little bit, that you're going to be remembering and using on a regular basis?
Well, and I think, one of the first thing I want to say, Jeff, is that you are not a bean counter. You don't count the hours. I think you're always available one way or the other, whether it's through phone, email or whatever it is, right? So you're very supportive. If there is a question, you answer it. That's the one thing. The other thing I liked as well is the dynamics of the group that you bring together. And it's actually very, very diverse. So there's a huge learning opportunity as well as being part of a group like that, because you just learn from each other. And you actually see that even if you may not be working in the same space or niche or whatever you want to call it, right? The issues that these blocks that are ahead of us exist, are the same for everybody. Marketing, you need to market, whether you reach out to teachers, to moms, about change in a private life. You coach people who have some personal issues, or whether it's corporate issues. The way you approach marketing is actually applies to the whole gamut of niches and businesses out there.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm glad. And one of the things I like I said, I loved about you is the kind of the supportive nature you had, and how you always showed up at the table each and every time with comments for other people, championing other people as well. And that was fun about the group, right? Is to be able to have those people in there that are, they're kind of like your partners. And like you said, as diverse as they could be in terms of, they're in different niches, different avenues. Everyone has different strengths and not weaknesses, but areas they can improve upon. That it really brings a really nice dynamic, to it all.
Yeah. And the cool thing is, I think it builds a network as well with the, I don't know I don't know what the alumni, the Jeff St. Laurent alumni group, right? It's actually pretty cool because I'm actually connected to quite a few people who are in class with me, who are now following. And I see it's actually very exciting to see these people who had all these questions and having the same kind of, I wouldn't say struggles, but just didn't know how to approach it, how to do it, right? And you see them now being masters, posting every week, being out there on video. I remember a few people who said, oh my God, I'm so shy, I can't do that. Now they're all naturals. They are on there and doing their video casts and are doing a great job at it. So
yeah, absolutely. So in closing, what are your final words to especially those coaches who are starting off, who might be in that kind of overwhelmed space, where they want to get going, but they're not quite sure where, advice from Didier on what they can do or their mindset to kind of get this going?
Well, and I want to be clear on this, Jeffrey, you're not paying me for this. I don't have a return or a kickback on this. So what I'm going to say is really genuine and what I believe in, and I always had that attitude of you're never better help than by yourself. I can figure it out. It's fine. That may be true to some extent. You can, there's so much resources out there. The issue is you lose a lot of time and you do get frustrated and it sets you back. So if one believes he or she can do it, yes, but when? And I think the other thing that it does is working with you and working with a group like that is actually accountability. So I would actually strongly recommend that, because coming out of IPEC or whichever other program it may be, right? One of the things that really, what the next step is, you know how to be a great coach. Marketing, that's not, other than in your, quick start class, marketing was never really that much of a focus, right? And probably shouldn't be. But that's then the next step is learning how to be out there, to be visible. And, I think the programs that you offer are just great for that.